This citizenship role is important to all of us, as important as any time in history. We need to be engaged with each other as well as our leaders. We need to be willing to talk to each other and respect each other. Stewardship of our planet and stewardship and care for each other should be our common bond. Let's not forget that as we deal with attitudes, policies, and practices that defile our planet and show disrespect for segments of our population, we have to pull together. We have to build our respect and movement for science from the ground up. We've had many outstanding scientists serve in the land-grant mission over many years. You'll recall that mission, established in 1862, is a mission of research, teaching, and extension. Everybody I've worked with, certainly at the University of Minnesota, has been very, very dedicated to that. Some go so far now in today's environment to say that scientists conspire to deceive the public, or even that we collaborate to produce hoaxes, as if we're all planning an April Fool's Day on the American public. Nothing could be further from the truth. Scientists are seekers of truth. We want to gain new knowledge by using the tools of scientific investigation and hypothesis testing with measurement, observation, and models. Often this work leads to new discoveries that have profound and far-ranging consequences. A shaky old man can't turn the pages. Many men have contributed over the years, as well as women, to this great body of knowledge that we use today. We, like other animals of the planet Earth, use our five senses: sight, smell, touch, hearing, and taste, but we couple them with our inherent human curiosity and our miraculous cognitive abilities that allow us to pursue new knowledge through science. This is a blessing, a gift of intellectual capacity for all men and women, not only to discover, but to apply new knowledge. Wisdom is the art of applying this new knowledge to better manage the natural world and our societal infrastructure that we rely on. With science-based knowledge, we also have the capacity to nurture our understanding of each other and how to live together in community. I, like many people of faith, believe we are designed for this. Again, stewardship should be our common bond. It's what Earth Day is all about. Scientific endeavor fosters better stewardship of the planet we live on as we gain a better understanding of the natural world. But let's not forget that scientific endeavors also foster the knowledge and understanding for us to better care for each other. We should never give up on either. We should certainly advocate for continued and robust investment in science and expand scientific literacy among us. These are the noble goals we must act on, and we must act on now for future generations. Thank you all very much.
Right on. Thanks a lot, Mark. That was great. So next up, we have three young people who are working in different climate science and climate justice organizations. Eliana Blai, Hafsa Islam, and Yanisia Dor Slowy. Come on up, guys.
Han Yanisia Dor Slowy, Maki RPA. Hello, Yanisia Dor Slowy is what I'm called, and I am a Native American of the Sister-Wapta Nayote, as well as being an enrolled member of the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe tribe. I am here today to share with you why I'm marching for climate justice in science. Science is important to me because we are an evolving species and we need new understandings of our Earth as well as ourselves, and science should be valued. I care about addressing climate change because I'm a Native American and we as Indigenous people are protectors of Mother Earth. We need the Earth because it provides us with living necessities. We aren't the only species on this planet, but yet we do the most harm. We don't consider wildlife and how they're slowly going extinct, just like our Minnesota wolves. At the Kitty Anderson Youth Science Center, I am taught that science and social justice are not separate things. They go hand in hand. And this march is a clear demonstration of that fact. So Padamaya Do, thank you.
Hello, I'm Hafsa. I'm 15 years old, and I'm on the youth leadership team with Minnesota Interfaith Power and Light, which is a nonprofit that works with the faith communities around the state to build an interfaith climate justice movement. We are a team of young people who are urgently organizing people of faith to take action to stop climate change. I'm passionate about this because of my own story. As a person practicing Islam, I am called to act on climate change. The Quran teaches to not commit abuse on earth and spread corruption, and that if any Muslim plants any plant and a human being or an animal eats of it, he will be rewarded as if he had given that much in charity. My dad grew up as a farmer in Bangladesh, where devastating floods driven by warm climates became the new normal, which drove hunger and starvation as crops were destroyed. It also brought the community together to start being each other's backbones, to care for each other during the hardest times. In my family, my grandmother had the doors open for everyone, forgetting that there was a caste, treating everyone equally, making sure that everyone was fed, a fully fed community. That's how I learned that no matter what happens, there's always a solution. And right now, the solution is to come together and fight for what is ours, and what is ours is our planet. I hope each of you children, youth, and adults will join us at Minnesota Interfaith Power and Light and reach out to each other. Be kind to one another, become each other's backbones, as together we take action to create a livable and just future for us all.
The average American melts 525 square feet of Arctic ice a year. I'm Eliana, I'm 13 years old, and I'm one of those Americans. I don't understand why people can care more about money than the extinction of not only the animals, but the entire human race. Every move politicians and corporations make against saving our climate is them making a move against every living thing. And I don't want to die because of a short-sighted decision someone else made for me. We organized our Kids March because my generation will be the one suffering from those decisions. Another reason we're marching is because we understand that climate change is about more than just saving the polar bears. Polar bears might become extinct, but so is every other species if we don't continue the progress that we've made. It's important for Americans of all ages to understand climate change and the impact it has on our future. We are all in this together. Thank you.
Wow, that was impressive. Nicely done, guys. Very well done. Thank you. All right, next we have a couple of high school science students who want to talk about their experience and their reasons for being here. It's Gabriel Adepoju and Georgia Toe.
Hi everybody. My name is Gabe. I'm a student from Parks International High. This is my first time doing this type of speaking. I'm a little nervous, as you can see. I'm here today to talk about why science is important to me. Science helped me to understand and interpret the word. I grew up very religious, and the way I saw the word then was not always based in the fact and evidence. I thought that believing science meant religion wasn't true. Now I know this isn't the way it has to be. Science religion doesn't have to go against each other. Science gave me a new perspective and another way to look at the world. This complements the way I had already learned to see it. Science education should be valued by everyone. You never know how science might inspire someone to be the next Isaac Newton. Science has already inspired me in this way. After flying in an airplane for the first time, I wanted to know more about how it worked and stay in the air. Since finding out more about this, I have decided to become a pilot in the future. Science inspires people. It's more than just facts, it's a way of thinking. If Darwin didn't think how science teaches us to, it would have just seen a whole bunch of animals. Science doesn't just belong in the classroom. It belongs everywhere and to all of us. The cell phone you use, the glasses you see through, they are all science. Without science education, people will never learn to appreciate everything that science has to offer us. Thank you. Happy Earth Day!
Hi everyone and welcome to the March for Science. Thank you. My name is Georgia and I'm a sophomore at Park Center High School. I would like to talk about where my love for science came from. During my elementary days, I was not really fond of science because I didn't understand the concept and how the knowledge could help me understand daily things in life. When I got to middle school, I started finding science interesting during our electricity unit, and the teacher brought in a Van de Graaff generator. The teacher allowed us to feel the electricity pass through our bodies, and I think this is where my love for science came from. I felt like Einstein because I was able to make electricity move through my classmate's arm. Science is very important in many ways because science can tell us what is true. People used to think the world was flat. Science taught us the world was round. Science helped us decide the best way to do things. Because of scientific knowledge, we can make buildings that don't collapse on people inside of them. We use science to learn about why we have certain traits. It is important that you learn about science so that you can understand why things happen and can make good decisions using scientific knowledge. Anyone who has never made a mistake has never tried anything new, by Albert Einstein. Thank you.
Wow, thanks again, guys. Very well done. I just wanted to make a quick announcement. If anybody gets lost or if anybody loses somebody in their group, you can find a sort of lost and found center for people over to the east side of the first aid tent, right over here on the east side of the Capitol. Okay, so our next speaker happens to be the science teacher of the two students that just spoke, Lindsay Burdick. Welcome, Lindsay.
Thank you, I appreciate it. They were wonderful. We worked really hard on that. I'm so proud of them. All right. So, as an educator, I see my role not only as a provider of knowledge, but as somebody who removes obstacles from the paths of my students. I want them to be as successful as possible. However, I alone cannot remove some of the obstacles that loom before them. The obstacles that are in front of them are why I march today. I march today to put an end to the epidemic of science illiteracy amongst our public. And our public begins with our students. Our education system, at best, woefully underprepares our students for the scientific crises they will be faced with, and at worst perpetuates this illiteracy. This problem is bigger than the hardworking staff in our schools. It begins with our state standards. In 0809, a committee chose 296 Minnesota state standards to be taught K through 12. These standards fall short. Climate change is a part of only 2 standards, neither of which discuss how humans have a role. Fossil fuels are included in just 1 standard. Vaccines, so vital for our health and so unfairly debated, are only mentioned twice. Antibiotic resistance is completely forgotten. We stand on the brink of a terrifying reality of bacterial resistance, and our kids are required to know nothing about it. New standards will be created in 2018, based heavily off of the next generation science standards. And how do they stack up? Climate change will be a part of 4 standards. Fossil fuels are worked in as many times as well. But the rest? Vaccines, 0. Antibiotic resistance, 0. Understanding GMOs and their safety, 0. We still have a long way to go. Nonconformist teachers can go off script and teach these topics, but the reality is there is never enough time to get through the required standards as it is. As long as the state tests follow the standards and the judgments about our schools follow the tests, the support that teachers need to be able to do what is right will never come. I march today to call for an end to the clique of science, the unattainable status that permeates our professions. As a member of the science community, I have heard, as I'm sure you have, the oft-repeated chorus line of, "I was always so bad at science. I was never smart enough for it." That mindset starts in our earliest grades. It begins with not having the confidence to speak up during first grade science hour. It continues into feeling too sheepish to take middle school honors life science, and it ends with the decision for a high school student to not take 4 years of high school science. I am not smart enough. I am not one of those kids who's good at science. As young adults, they choose not to pursue science-related careers. As older adults, they begin to tune out the barrage of facts and explanations they hear from scientists on TV. It alienates them. When we become too hurried to explain to a worried mother why antibiotics don't work for viruses, we alienate. When we strike a condescending tone while discussing greenhouse gases with a climate denier, we alienate. If we are going to make real change, we need everyone on board, everyone in one clique. Science is not just for the smartest, the nerdiest, or the elite among us. It's for everyone. If you have a garden, you are a botanist. If you've created a new recipe, you've used the scientific method. If you've ever explained the birds and the bees to your kids, you are a science teacher. Engage yourself and others in the science that is all around you. Every new generation of students is a blank slate, a chance for us all to start over and get it right, to arm them with the knowledge they need to interact with but not destroy the world around them. The critical thinking skills to question when there is a lack of evidence and to innovate when there are no answers. There has never been a more crucial time for us all to come together. Carl Sagan said it best. Ask courageous questions. Do not be satisfied with superficial answers. Be open to wonder, and at the same time, subject all claims to knowledge, without exception, to critical scrutiny. Be aware of human fallibility. Cherish your species and your planet. We've marched together. Now let us live by these words together. Help me remove obstacles for our kids and for our future. Thank you.
That was awesome. Okay, before I turn over the program to Christina, I'm going to have a quick announcement from somebody.
Hello, how's everybody doing? Great. My name is Patty, and this is Ula, and we're involved with an organization called Minnesota 350. And Minnesota 350 is working to build a climate justice movement in Minnesota. So we've heard a lot today about the dangers of not listening to climate science, the dangers of not advancing science and valuing science in our society. And so one way that you can get involved is by leaving this march today and going and getting involved with organizations and in your community and doing something about it to make sure that we advance climate justice and we create a culture in our society that really values science. So one way to get involved with working on climate change is to get involved with Minnesota 350, and we have a really quick and easy way for you to sign up and do that. If you get out your phones now and you text JOIN, so JOIN, to the number 651-705-8999, so it's kind of a long number, JOIN to 651-705-8999. You will receive information from us about how you can get involved with working specifically on how to address climate change in Minnesota. So thank you so much, everybody, for being out here today and for committing to do the work for the long haul after we leave today, all right?
All right, what a beautiful day today, huh? One more quick announcement before we move on to the next speaker. Just want to tell the marshals, please return your vests, and any other volunteers, please return your vests on the west side of the Capitol before you leave. I believe that's where you picked them up. All right, so our next speaker is Ellen Lifson. So I didn't mention this in my introduction, but I'm a postdoctoral research scientist at the U, and I study the immune response to malaria infection. So I have a particular interest in Dr. Lifson research. He studies HIV and AIDS, and he's done this for 40 years here at the U. He is also currently the clinical director of the Minnesota site for the Midwest AIDS Training and Education Center. So let's welcome Dr. Lifson.
Hi, everyone. It's a beautiful day to stand up for science. So I'm standing here today because as a Minnesota physician and a public health researcher who's worked on AIDS and other infectious diseases for over 4 decades, and as a parent and as a citizen of this planet that we all share, I have just one message. I've seen how science improves health and science saves lives. So, as a young physician and a researcher in San Francisco, I saw some of the very first cases of AIDS, including my friends and colleagues who were strong and healthy, and I saw them wither away as the life drained from them. And, you know, I can still remember their faces. I remember Doug, a smart and funny man who was full of life, and saw how he became bedridden as those who loved him struggled and held his hands while he gasped for his last breath. And I remember Michael, always impeccable in his dress and behavior, as he became confused as disease ravaged his brain. And I remember people being led around our streets as those who had lost their vision because of AIDS complications in their eyes couldn't see. And I remember the men and women who I saw in Africa and Latin America and Asia and so many other places around the world wasting away because of intractable diarrhea and infections that made each swallow a painful agony. And I remember how while working at the AIDS program at the Centers for Disease Control in the late 1980s, I heard about a new drug that research studies was prolonging the life of AIDS patients. And other basic and clinical science studies that I was fortunate to participate in increased our understanding of HIV and how to treat it. And in 2000, I began caring for HIV patients at the University of Minnesota. And I saw how advances in science changed AIDS care from night to day and from darkness to light. I think of patients, and I think of these patients, and I see their faces like Bill and Ron and Jody and so many others who are now on life-sustaining drugs, and they were being seen in the outpatient clinic as healthy and vital individuals instead of languishing hopelessly in the hospital. And I remember the faces of those I saw while conducting HIV research in Ethiopia and in South Africa and other countries all around the world, where treatments that had been developed due to medical advances turned wasted skeletons with chronic fever and pain into healthy individuals who were able to return to work and enjoy their families. I saw how science improves health, and I saw how science saves lives. For everyone. And in my own life, I think of family members who developed heart disease and breast cancer and Crohn's disease and diabetes and so many other illnesses who have benefited from life-sustaining treatments due to scientific advances that were not available even 10 years ago. And finally, as a public health professor at the university, I've been privileged over the last 20 years to train new generations of young people who want to dedicate their lives, as I have, to research and to improving the health and welfare of others in Minnesota, in America, and in our world. Many have gone on to scientific careers in their own right, so that in their lifetime, they can see the same kind of progress that I've seen in AIDS due to science. But I worry if my students will have an opportunity for such a promising future when I see that billions of dollars in federal funds to conduct essential research through NIH are proposed to be slashed. And when I see proposals to cut hundreds of millions of dollars from our state budget for health and human services, I fear that the critical public health progress that we have made in programs to prevent disease and save lives, including those I saw when I worked at our own health department, will be severely curtailed. And I'm angered when I see that public policies and public confidence and rational policies for measures which can prevent death and disability are being eroded by made-up science and so-called alternative facts. This week, in our own state, we are seeing growing numbers of measles, a potentially fatal childhood disease, because of fears stoked by false and repeatedly disproven claims about the harm of a vaccine. So I ask, are we trading our long-term future and health and that of our children to score short-term political points? If we are weakening rather than strengthening us as a nation. We are depriving us of the knowledge to fight existing diseases and the weapons to combat new outbreaks that will, without doubt, be coming to our doorstep. Now, I know that there are policy issues that divide us as a state and as a nation, but this should not be one of them. Science benefits us all, whether Democrat or Republican, whether liberal or conservative. Science benefits us all, young and old, men, women, and children. Science benefits everyone, all religions, all races, rich and poor, urban and rural. I think of my own father, who died from lymphoma at the age of 49, and all the weddings and births and other happy events that he would have enjoyed if he had been alive with the modern treatments that we have today. So, to those who set our state and national priorities, and to all of us gathered here, my message is simple. I have seen that science improves health. I have seen that science saves lives for everyone, and I believe that science can continue to save lives for everyone. Science needs our support now more than ever. Science is our promise and our commitment to creating a healthier and a better world. It's our commitment now, and science is our commitment to generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lifson. That was a great speech. We only have a couple speeches left, so if you're feeling a little hot, not too much longer, and then we'll wrap up. Although we do enjoy the sun, don't we? It's a beautiful day. Solar energy, that's right. All right, our next speaker is Bobwealth Omonteze. and he, like me, is a postdoctoral researcher at the University of Minnesota. He, however, is located on the St. Paul campus and is a researcher studying endocrine control of reproduction in cattle, traveling to various field sites both in Minnesota and Wisconsin. He has received multiple fellowships in veterinary reproduction, having received his PhD from the Ahmadu Bello University in Nigeria in 2015. Let's welcome Dr. Omonteze.
Hello, Minnesota! How are we doing this morning? Great. My name is Bob Welcome Motese, and I'm a veterinarian and researcher at the University of Minnesota. Right. I work with a progressive team that investigates the effect of diseases on welfare and productivity of food animals through science and innovation. My overwhelming interest in agriculture started as a teenager back home, where it was not unusual to see people die from malnutrition and ailments that could have been prevented if they had access to quality food. Hence, my resolve to pursue a career in livestock agriculture and to network with leading scientists all around the globe, working tirelessly to ensure food security and food safety. Thank you. The world population is projected to be 9 billion by 2050. Such an increase in our population will exert immense pressure on agricultural land, water, plants, and livestock that provide us with food, but not food alone, but with raw materials for drugs, for clothing, and manufacture. Unfortunately, climate change, environmental pollution, and emerging diseases, just to mention a few, continue to threaten the well-being of plants and animals. All this and more warrants our attention. The only way we can truly tackle this reality is by continually investing in science and the people who dedicate their life, energy, and intellect to understand problems and come up with practical solutions. Scientists discover facts through well-designed experiments and disseminate results that work. These outcomes are facts. They are not opinions and must be respected and used in decision making. Thank you. Science is expensive, but a community without her is ignorant, non-progressive, and will eventually pay a higher price. Through science, we have improved the general health and fertility of livestock. We have hastened disease diagnosis. We have produced effective vaccines and antimicrobials. We have improved genetics of plants and animals. We have increased food production and storage, but we still have a challenge. Indiscriminate use of antibiotics has resulted in resistant bugs. Uncontrolled use of chemicals pose great threat to water life. And climate change, now more than ever, adversely affects our agricultural system. Science offers us a means to know and understand better so we could act. This is why we march for science. This is why Minnesota marched for science. We can find solutions to these challenges only with adequately funded scientific research. If we must lead the world in agricultural innovation, we must increase our investment in science. If there is ever a time where we all must rise to promote science, this is it. When we look in the eyes of our daughters and our sons years from now, we must strive to be able to say with boldness and sincerity that we made a choice to act. We walked the talk. We marched for science and we changed the world. Thank you and God bless you. God bless Minnesota and God bless the United States of America.
I hear that Bob is also a preacher, so I think we got some of that today. That was great. Okay, one more quick announcement. Again, the Lost and Found is on the northeast corner of the first aid tent, which is over there on the east side of the Capitol. All right, so I also want to take a quick moment to thank all of the public leaders and lawmakers who showed their support for our mission by attending today. This includes, yes, thank you. This includes lawmakers who, while they couldn't attend in person, wanted to send a message to explicitly voice their support. In particular, Senator Amy Klobuchar couldn't make it here today. She really wished she could be here, but she did send us a letter that I would like to read now. Dear friends, thank you for the kind invitation to join you today. There are just a few things going on in our world right now, and I wish I could be there, but please know that I am with you in spirit as you stand up for science, innovation, and evidence-based policy making. The need for quality education, publicly funded research, and science-based policy has never been greater. Here in Minnesota, we know how important these things can be. From the Post-it note to the pacemaker, Minnesotans have been at the forefront of science and innovation for a long time. And if the students I met this week from a high school science bowl team are any indication, Minnesota has a strong future of science and innovation ahead of us. Today we've reached a crossroads and have no guarantee decisions and policy will be based on facts. Some even question the existence of facts. Some side with climate deniers and say it isn't happening. On Earth Day today, I side with science and say it is. We better do something about it. I firmly believe decisions and policies must be based on well-researched facts, reason, and evidence. Our future depends on it. And it will not be possible without a robust and well-funded scientific community having a strong voice in the process. As a member of the U.S. Senate, I will do everything in my power to stand up with you and take on these issues. That's why, when the government shut down in 2013, I was the only senator to donate my entire salary during that time to the NIH for scientific research. I was so frustrated that desperate patients were going without treatment and critical science was being sidelined simply because Washington could not get its act together. I applaud all the organizers who made this march possible and the supporters who volunteered to stand up for what is right. Now I just hope someone today has my favorite sign, and I know I've seen this sign around. What do we want? Science! When do we want it? After peer review! Thank you for all of your hard work. I wish you the best as you fight for a better future. Sincerely, Amy Klobuchar. On that note, I would like to introduce our final speaker, Congresswoman Betty McCollum. A native of St. Paul, Betty McCollum is currently serving her 9th term as a representative of Minnesota's 4th Congressional District. She previously served on the North St. Paul City Council from 1987 to 1992 and went on to serve 4 terms in the Minnesota House of Representatives from 1993 to 2000. Let's welcome Betty McCollum.
to hear a big thank you to the people who organized this event. 1, 2, 3. And on 3 for all the great speakers who are here. 1, 2, 3. And now I want to give yourself a big thank you. Thank you so much for being here. 1, 2, 3. Well, happy Earth Day, everyone. See, there's a sign here, and I'm going to read it. It says, "The good thing about science is that it's true whether or not you believe in it." Now, I found that the hard way on a couple of my science tests, right? So there are some things that are just facts. Well, it's good to have the citizens here. It's good to have the scientists here, and it's good to have the citizen scientists. Because today is about action to protect science. It's about a movement to promote science. Today is about standing united to confront the destructive political agenda that promotes ignorance, denial, and dangerous alternative facts, otherwise known as lies. So, now, for the scientists in here, for the scientists out here, cut me just a little slack because I'm going to put forward a hypothesis. If scientists are not engaged politically, as you are here today, as Democrats, Republicans, Independents, Green Party, whatever, but if scientists are not engaged, it is highly unlikely that the funding of science research will be slashed, scientists will be gagged, and they will be blacklisted unless they stand up and speak out for themselves. And we know fake news is trumping evidence-based discovery. So you're here because you're citizens, you're here because you're scientists, you're here because you're leaders. And we all need to be active and engaged and mobilized. Elected officials, business leaders, academic leaders, and we all must be held accountable. We need leaders who will defend scientific integrity and support advancing science. And that's why you're here marching today. To all of the scientists all across America today, and to the generations, think of it, the generations of scientists before them, and the children who are here, who will be the scientists of the future. This is a commitment to the future. It's a commitment made with passion, that discovery is essential to our democracy, to our economy, and to making this a safer and healthier and more prosperous world for the billions of people who share this planet with us. But we're here today because we know science is under attack and we must fight back. And let me make a few evidence-based political statements to challenge what is going on at the U.S. Capitol right now. Climate change is real. Vaccines save lives. And President Obama was born in the United States. So we cannot allow the deniers up in Capitol Hill to undermine the pursuit of knowledge through scientific discovery. The threat starts and is clear and present danger with President Trump's proposed 2018 budget. It has deep, harmful cuts. I believe they are very misguided because they harm scientific research. Let me give you a few examples. The Institute of Health, NOAA, USGS, the U.S. Geological Survey, CDC, NASA, the Department of Energy, and the EPA. It is an assault what this budget that has been proposed does to scientific leadership for the United States of America to be out there leading in the international community. Friends, as I said, this is a real fight. And as a member of Congress and a policymaker, I want the best science and the best information when I'm making a decision. I want to listen from the men and from the women who are asking the tough questions, seeking discovery, and making the breakthroughs. I want scientists from other parts of the world to come to the United States and to study at our universities and share our research and expand our knowledge. And that includes welcoming our brothers and sisters, Muslim scientists, to America and not banning them. So friends, we must come together as we have today and every day to protect our planet, to improve human health, to improve and grow our economy, to help feed 7 billion people. Science is a process in which mankind advances. Scientific knowledge is a gift we give the next generation, and it must be the foundation of our children's education. But it is scientists as citizens. The scientists you heard from today and the ones that are working on their doctorates now and the ones out in the audience. We must work with them. We must encourage them to be active, engaged, and full, passionate citizens, because that's the only way we will confront the ignorance and the arrogance of the politicians and the powerful who are attacking science for profit and for power. We need your voices here at the state capitol. We need them in the U.S. Capitol. We need them all across this land. This is a march to protect science, and I, along with you, need to lobby to invest in science. And that's why when the next election comes, your vote needs to be for science. Thank you.
That was great. Thank you, Betty McCullum. Two last quick announcements. It is Earth Day, so please make sure you pick up any trash before you leave, and if you see any, maybe pick it up even if it's someone else's. Thank you. And again, one more announcement for volunteers and marshals. Please return your vests to the west end of the Capitol where you picked them up. Let's end with a couple quick chants before we head out, just to keep the momentum going. All right, so repeat after me. Say it loud, say it clear. Scientists are welcome here. Say it clear. Scientists are welcome here. All right. And if you have signs, please hold them up. We want to get some last pictures with everyone holding up their signs. Thank you. Next chant. What do we want? Evidence-based research. What do we want? Evidence-based research. When do we want it? After peer review. All right, keep those things going. And last one, science gets it, they inform, legislation must conform. Got that? Science gets it, they inform, legislation must conform. All right, ready? Science gets it, they inform, legislation must conform. All right, thank you everyone for coming out. Please pick up your